Oh, time to talk with our buddy David Cloninger here in just a second on the post-game show. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford. You know, you got to come up with a fancy intro for Cloninger.
Okay. I don't put me on the spot.
We got one for Langston. We got one also for Brewer. We need one for Cloninger.
All right.
So go for it.
Before the Braves season begins, I'll figure something out.
All right.
Yeah. I'll make it include Guns N' Roses and Van Halen, a couple other things. We'll figure it out.
And fish. David loves fish.
Yeah, I know David loves one fish song. He loves one fish song. He's told me before. One fish song. I'll get him to like at least two. Anyway, DC joins us now. We'll get a more official intro. I can work on that. I'll have some downtime coming up here. I'll work on that.
Fellas, you're arguing too much. You need to give me the intro that I've always suggested to you. It's the line from Smokey and the Bandit where he says, "For some reason or the other, you sounded a little taller on the radio." It's perfect.
That is good.
All right, we'll
either that or going way back. Shawn Michaels' entrance for wrestling matches. I won't mention the song, but it's apropos.
Okay.
Very
All right.
nice.
Well, maybe we can do both. We'll figure it out. David, real quick, let's just get this kind of out of the way and then move on. Devontae Miles arrested the other day. The word now done with the football team. Have you been able to learn more and confirm that?
It was pretty much just it. Of course, they weren't going to, judge it based on the initial arrest, although that arrest looked really bad. But they brought him in. They found out that there was nothing, trumped up about the charge or anything. And the young man admitted that he messed up. And they said, well, just can't have that around here. So he'd already been suspended once for a very minor reason. But this, you're not going to be able to give somebody like that or an offense like that a second chance. So they told him he was gone. He accepted it. He's already put out an apology, and USC moves on.
Yeah. All right. There you go. I know you were just at Paul Maneri's press conference, so we'll get into your thoughts on what he had to say. I know there's some injuries to look at here in the early going, and he alluded to that with us on Monday when he visited. But I was just going over the projections from D1 baseball for the tournament. Again, David, it's February 12th, so take these with more than a grain of salt, perhaps, if you're a fan. But it does, I think, show where Carolina is in terms of how people think about them, and they're not being thought about. That to me, there's 72 schools listed here with the first four out and the next four out included, and South Carolina's not even one of 72. How much of a concern should something like that be right now?
Well, it's a preseason projection for a postseason tournament, so it means precisely nothing right now. That's nothing against D1. Those guys are my friends. Those guys do a great job. But the fact is that means nothing by itself. It's based on what you've done recently, and South Carolina had the worst year in its program history last year. Last year, they missed the postseason for the 5th time in the last 10 tries. I never thought I'd even say that once, that USC baseball would miss the postseason. But that's what happened, and you are what your record and what you've recently been doing says you are, and right now they're not a postseason team. This year, this team is very, very much unknown because they did bring in 24, 26 newcomers. It's basically a completely new team. So when you have something like that and you don't have the recent bias of, that's South Carolina, they're always in the postseason, guys, that ended in 2015. And, that's just the fact of the matter, that South Carolina baseball, as we speak right now on the radio, is irrelevant. They've got to go out there and make themselves relevant again.
Hey, David, as we look at this and going into this season with pretty much a whole new roster that very few people know besides a couple of players, you've seen some scrimmages. You've got a chance to take a look at stuff. All right, let's start with what could a Carolina fan be hopeful about?
Well, the pitching staff was looking really good, Terry, and it's still looking okay. You lost your best pitcher in two innings, not even 2 full innings, into the preseason. He's gone for the year. So that's really, really not good. That said, if you were going to have a major injury, you want to have it where you've got the most depth, and they're pretty deep at pitching. Riley Goodman, who's going to be the Friday night guy now, looked really, really good. Amp Phillips, while he didn't have the best numbers, and I'll say it's because he's experimenting on a new pitch, he knows how to throw it. He knows what he's doing once he gets out there. And then you've kind of got your choice of guys for that third spot. Right now it's going to be Brandon Stone, and they'll see what he does. He's at least been around and has a lot of experience. So the pitching, I think, will always give you that boost. Jay, you know it. If that guy on the bump is on, you're going to have a good game. You're going to have a good season. But they've got to get a lot more because a pitcher, and, you know, in baseball, you can't score runs on defense. So we'll have to see how the hitting and the defense goes.
David, again, we had Paul on the show on Monday. Obviously, beginning of the year, 41st season going in. Here we are now when you guys were seeing him literally 24 hours before first pitch. So take us through the body language, the mood, and you know, at least what in terms of maybe setting a tone, how important he and you guys think this weekend is for Carolina.
Well, of course it's going to be important, Jay, just because it's games that count now. You know, this is the ones that count on your record. So you always want to get off to a good start, but I think that Paul and all the rest of the fans know that a good start is preferred, but it doesn't mean anything. They started 9-0 last year, and look what happened. So you just got to go out there, and forgive me for drifting into cliche land. You got to play them one game at a time and just see what you can do. There's going to be a lot of lineup switching in this first weekend. Probably will last over the next weekend as well before the Clemson series, to where he's figuring out who he has, figuring out who plays best where, and also getting some guys back from the DL that they're unfortunately on right now. So, of course, you want to go out there and get off to a good start. I'll say that if they should happen to lose in these first 5-6 games, it's probably not going to look real good. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. There's always going to be one game where it's like, you know, it's just going to be bad. I mean, in 2010, I still remember while they won the game, they were down, was it 4-0 to Binghamton in the third inning? Something like that. And it was like, oh, geez, this is just going to be a horse crap year. Well, look what happened.
Hey, David, as we look at what happened last year and looking forward to this year, the two things that obviously were lacking that supposed to be improved, velocity on the mound and power at the plate. Have you seen, how much of that have you seen? And I know it's just scrimmages and stuff like that, but what have you seen in those two areas so far?
At least from raw numbers, Terry, I can't remember a USC baseball staff that had this much speed coming from the pitcher's arms. For so long there, and Jay, back me up on this, USC didn't concentrate on much on flamethrowers, but on just guys who knew how to pitch, which is why every time when they came in here, Jerry Myers looked at them and said, I like what you got, but we're going to teach you a slider. Because hardly anybody had a slider at that time. And it was more about control and pitchability rather than just blow you away with the speed. So they've got that now. They've got several guys who are throwing mid-90s. I saw Riley Goodman get it up to 98 in a preseason scrimmage. So they've got the guys that can do that. Now, once Alex Philpott gets back, that adds another to that staff. You just got to learn how to control it. So pitching-wise with speed, I think you're good. Bad speed and how you're going to score on offense, I mean, I've seen some good things. Patrick Evans, Bo Hollins, those guys are really playing well. KJ Scobie playing well. There's a guy in Logan Sutter who – he's hit everywhere he's been. He just hasn't hit in the fall or in the spring so far, but that's why it's preseason, scrimmage. If you're going to do it, let's go ahead and do it now and get it out of the way, because as they all say, hey, man, don't worry about it. When the light comes on, I'm in there. So you'll get a chance to show that off starting tomorrow, and we'll see what we can see. But power-wise, maybe it won't be the best power-hitting team. That's not a bad thing. As long as you can put the ball in play and get it where they ain't, you're going to be okay.
David, before we get you out of here, we've got about a little over a minute left here. Gamecock men and women both off during the midweek. They'll play at the exact same time, by the way, on Saturday night, which is kind of interesting, and both on the road out west. Gamecock men is where I want to focus right now, though. How important, in your opinion, is the second half of this conference season in terms of trying to reestablish enough credibility for Lamont to look at Jeremiah Donati and say, give me another opportunity, let's put some more money behind this thing? How are you looking at the second half of the conference slate?
Got to have some improvement, Jay. They've matched their SEC win total from last year. Okay, that's cool. You need to get above it and substantially above it. I mean, yes, if they went 3-15 this year, that would be improvement. It's not the kind of improvement that they want to see. So they need to go out there and win. And unfortunately, if you got to start, say, hey, a stretch where we got to win almost all games at Alabama and at Florida isn't the way to do it. but that's what the schedule says. And as they've gone into every game this year, hey, maybe you'll hit enough shots to win. Just maybe. I mean, maybe sometimes goes in. What Lefty Gomez always say. I'd rather be lucky than good.
Appreciate you as always, sir. Enjoy the opening weekend. We'll holler at you.
Thank you, man. We'll talk to you
Sounds
soon.
good, guys. Thanks for having me.
See you, bud. That's our pal,
our
David
good friend
Cloninger.
David Cloninger, DCPNC on Twitter, postandcourier.com. And again, Gamecock fans, if you hadn't already, signed up for David's newsletter. A lot of good stuff in there every week. He knows what's up.
Yeah, we got Pop the Vault next. Let you know what happened on this day. That's on the post-game show. Jay and Terry right here on the Game Network, and at the Game TV Radio on YouTube. Time to crack open the vault here on the post-game show with Jay and Terry on the Game Network and also at the Game TV Radio, our cool little YouTube channel. Hey, since hockey is going on the Olympics today, right?
Yep.
There's a bunch of hockey in today in history. Like
Olympic hockey or
Olympic
like
hockey
just
and NHL hockey.
Okay.
There's a couple.
Okay.
Interesting. I'll give you one real NHL, 1982. Wayne Gretzky scores his 153rd point of the season, breaking Gordie Howe's NHL record.
Nice.
Remember when Gretzky had over 200 points in a season? Remember that year? Insane.
Yeah. I mean,
guy was
even around here, Wayne Gretzky made news, man. Yeah. All right.
He was. I'll give you another one. 1985. Pittsburgh's Mario Lemieux, another iconic offensive talent, becomes the first rookie to be named most valuable player in the NHL All-Star Game. Lemieux was 19 years old, dude.
Yeah.
19
He was
years
all right,
old.
man. They won some cups in Pittsburgh.
I remember when he came back. Remember he had chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Came back like with the same night and played against the Philadelphia Flyers, and I think had like an assist or something in that game or whatever. Lemieux was a thing, man.
Yeah,
and
he was.
He was something.
And a big man, too.
He was a large human being, like 6'4", 2 something. Yeah. And he could.
Yeah.
Man, he was skilled, could skate. Oh, he was something else. That dude was something else. And the Soviets, because just to remember how dominant the Soviets were. Back in 1972, they won the gold medal again. They beat Czechoslovakia 5-2. You know who won the silver that year, though? Because we were both barely alive.
I'm gonna say it was not America.
Yes, it was. The United States won the silver in '72. I did not know that till I looked at this today.
Okay.
Not gonna lie, did not know that.
How about that? So wait. Is that back when did they lose the gold medal game?
No, they lost in the semis, and the Czechoslovakia and the United States. How'd it go? They were awarded the silver because it had beaten and tied Czechoslovakia.
Okay, so it was like a points. It was like a points system thing, right?
That's what it was back then. It wasn't like you played the bronze medal game.
Right.
Whole different ball game. Whole different deal. So I'll give you. There's another one here I wanted to find, not hockey related, but just sports related. In this day in 2005, Allen Iverson scored 60 points in a game that was his career high.
Yeah.
Sixers beat Orlando.
I saw him play live a couple of times. One time was an exhibition here. That was fun, but I saw him play a couple of times up in Charlotte. And he was fun to watch, man. He liked to put on a show.
Yeah, tell you what, especially with 6 foot, weighed like 100 pounds, he'd go to the rack.
Yeah, but he
was fearless, man.
He could score.
Fearless. Ready? I'll give you a quick quiz. This day in 2018, Virginia was ranked number 1 in the AP poll for the first time since 1982. 1982, obviously the coach was Terry Holland, the star player on that Virginia team in 1982. If you think about it, you'll get it. Big tall
Ralph
fella.
Sampson.
Big tall fella.
Ralph Sampson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People forget something. Ralph Sampson was like ahead of his time. He was like a dude 7'4" who could shoot outside and inside.
Yeah. No, Ralph. I mean, the thing about Ralph Sampson and Jeff Lamp was a terrific point guard and could shoot a little bit. They had some dudes, but what I remember, Sampson. I don't think he made a Final Four though, right? Like, didn't Virginia go to a Final Four the year after he left?
They made it the year after he left. With Odell Wilson and guys. Wilson. I can't think. The last name was Wilson. Was the point guard, and they had some other guys. The sheriff. Olin Polynice was on that Final Four team, I think, too. Yeah. That was the Final Four.
That was the year Georgetown won, the 84 Final Four, I think. Yeah.
Yep. And Virginia got there the year after Sampson left. They could never get to the Final Four with Ralph.
Well, Georgia got. I was like Georgia the year prior, and the year that NC State won, Georgia got to the Final Four without Dominique.
I know.
They had spent so many years building a team around them, and then they're like, oh, look how good we are without our star player. Like when Tennessee won the football title without Peyton.
Right.
We spent all those years building a team around Peyton.
Isn't it crazy?
And let's give a title to T. Martin.
I know. It's like that Georgia team had like James Banks and Vern Fleming and guys like that, but no Dominique Wilkins. Yeah. Crazy. It was crazy. And you're right. The Tennessee Volunteers won a national championship without Peyton Manning at quarterback, but with T. Martin. Right. No offense to T. Martin.
No, he was fine. He was good.
He was fine, but he just wasn't no Peyton Manning.
No.
That's all.
No.
So, anyway, that's some cool stuff. One last one from the vault. This day, 2023, we've had a run. The last 2 Super Bowls have been for excitement for the casual fan, but this one in 2023 wasn't, where the Chiefs beat the Eagles 38-35. Patrick Mahomes was the MVP. That was a fun back-and-forth game, and Kansas City won it late, 38-35.
Yeah, I like Super Bowls like that. Those are indeed.
Yep, those are the fun ones.
More fun to watch.
Let me ask you this.
I agree.
Real quick.
Although I'm telling you, I didn't look at this last one this past weekend and go like, this game is just wretched. A lot of people did. I mean, it definitely was an ugly defensive game, but I don't mind defensive games, especially if you know going in that it's going to be a defensive game. And I think everybody should have known it was going to be. And, we talked a lot about that beforehand, so that doesn't bother me. But I was telling somebody earlier in the week, the night the Braves won the World Series in '95, the game was 1-0. I couldn't give two you-know-whats, right. Man. You know why? Because the Braves won the game.
I've always said that. Like, when your favorite team wins, you don't care if the score is like 1-0. Like,
I don't care how ugly it is. I will take an ugly win over a beautiful loss every
day. Look, for an example, When Maryland finally won the national championship in basketball, they beat Indiana, and if you weren't a Maryland fan, that game was a snoozer. I didn't care. Maryland won the national championship. It was a beautiful 40 minutes to me because Maryland won the whole thing. But that game, if you weren't a Maryland fan, that was melatonin. No offense, but I didn't care. And the bar I was in still went crazy. We were good.
Well, hey, because there was a horn that went off with triple zeros on it, and somebody won the game.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
To your point, you don't need a masterpiece when it's your team. Like, for an example, Seattle Seahawks fans thought that thing was a masterpiece. They didn't care if the casual fan went, God, that was really dull field goals.
Right.
No, they didn't care. And I'll be honest with you. And you and I talked about this Tuesday. Look, you can say that game wasn't an offensive fireworks. It's true. But watching the Seattle defense dismantle that New England offense, if you're just a fan of football and you're into football, that was something to watch. It really was.
That's what I say. I mean, if you're prepared going in, but again, the NFL doesn't worry about the people that are prepared for it going in. They worry about the other 80 million that are like, So that's why I said next year, look for touchdowns to count 10 points.
Field goals to be 20.
Yeah,
all
only
right,
in the Super Bowl.
4 o'clock hour coming up. Dr. Dan and the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. 803-875-MENS. Look, again, when you're a guy and life isn't going the way it used to for yourself, how you feel physically, mentally, you're having issues with all sorts of things and you're confused, you're upset, scared, mad, whatever. It could be something simple. It could just be even low testosterone is just holding you back from performing the way somehow you'd like to in life. Go to the Men's Clinic. Again, make that call, 803-875-MENS. Set up a consultation. It's free. They will do a free testosterone test on you. And they will listen to you and put you on a program specifically designed to get you back to feeling like you again. Again, make that call. Men's Clinic of South Carolina, 803-875-MENS. Post-game show, Jay, Terry, kick an hour or two. Don't forget, tomorrow it starts. Gamecock baseball season. We do our tailgate show. Village Idiot. We will be there 9 to 12:44 and 59 seconds. And then we hand off to Derek and Stewart for the pregame show. First pitch, 1 o'clock. Doubleheader. After game one, approximately 45, 50 minutes, we will then have game two all here on the Game in Columbia and our affiliate in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'll be with Tyler, I guess, to close things out, so starting at noon.
Well, it's a tradition. You've done like 75 straight openers. Got to make sure you're in there somehow, man.
I'll miss being there in person for sure.
You know what? I just thought of this. To make you feel comfortable and feel good, because, I mean, you're bummed you're missing this. You love doing this show.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should have Brian from the Village Idiot bring some pizzas over to your house.
Bring me a pizza.
Just saying, man. Make you feel comfortable and at home.
If somebody wants to bring me a pizza, I will not turn it down. I assure you, sir.
Oh, look at you! What a gentleman! I won't turn it down.
So I'll sure throw that out there. Throw that out there to the Godfather and see what happens.
We'll see what Glenn will do. I mean, you never know. He might actually show up at your house with the apron on, holding a pie. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Knowing him like I do, he might.
I know.
You might not be. You might not be wrong. So we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. Hey, so by the way, two things apropos of almost nothing here, Terry. But I saw something that my brain would never have processed just a minute ago as we went to the first intermission in the USA Latvia hockey game. They said, up next, the Pokemon intermission report. And I had to stop and think about what exactly that meant. But apparently, Pokemon is sponsoring the intermission report and some other things at the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Pokemon.
Again, apropos of nothing. I was like, was that some kind of thing they're doing for the kids? You know, like, is this, are they going to have Pokemons out on the ice? Like, what are we doing here? But apparently, no. Pokemon is just doing that. But so then that made me think that kind of leads us into our next story. I don't know where I fall on this or not, but if you haven't heard this yet, the Big 12 Conference this week announced that both its men's and women's basketball tournaments, which will be played at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City next month, both will be played on an LED floor. The company that makes the floor is called ASB. It's a glass floor, and the Big 12 says it represents a significant milestone in the modernization of college athletics. I don't really know what this is going to look like during a game, Terry. I mean, how video gamey is this? Mm-hmm. As guys dribble, does the floor light up when you take a three-pointer? Does something happen? I'm going to say I doubt it, but apparently there are some things they'll do in commercial breaks, in timeouts, at halftime. Look, it's definitely a gimmick,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I don't know if this is where we're headed or not. Apparently the floor plays well, which if I'm Bill Self and some of the coaches in the Big 12, I'm like I'm preparing for the men's basketball tournament
mm-hmm.
here. I don't need a bunch of gimmicks the week out. So like exactly what is this going to look and feel like? But apparently it's been tested and also I get the kids like this kind of thing, but again, I don't know what's going to happen. I guess during the game, does it just look like a wooden floor? Does it change during the course of the? What do you do? I don't know, but it sounds interesting. I'll say that much.
I'll say this: as long as it doesn't affect the quality of play, right? As long as look, gimmicks are great, gimmicks are fun, but as long as it doesn't affect like the game itself, right? Like I won't lie. I'll go to like the idea of miking up baseball players when they're in the field. I don't like that. I'm always like, look, I get you. You want to get like inside the game and stuff, but I'm also like this. Oh, they're playing. they're playing. If you want to talk to the manager, like between innings, or if you want to talk to a player in between innings in the dugout, right? I'm cool with all that to give us a little inside, go behind the curtain kind of thing. But, dude, when they're out in the field and you're sitting here yipping, hey, man, so what kind of sweat socks are you wearing? Whatever they're talking about, I'm like, they're playing the game right now. That shouldn't be the time where you're yapping with them to me. Maybe again, that's me being old school, but they're actually playing the game, Jay, out in the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really like it. I got a little bit more about this. It says the LED technology will allow the conference to feature data-driven graphics, advertising, and games for fans during timeouts. And they have a little video. I mean, I can't do that now. We're on radio, obviously, but it like shows all the logos as the floor can like almost instantly change, basically like a big giant, TV or computer screen or something like that. They've got a quote from Bill Self that says, I guess this is the wave of the future. If you're wondering, here's how it's made up. It has an aluminum and steel spring action. The design allows them to mimic the flexibility of a hardwood floor. The LED panels have a ceramic coating with dots etched into the glass for grip and consistent surface without dead spots or other quirks that can occur with natural wood. So now they're going to tell us that it's actually better than wood. But it's glass. I mean, so look, I'm not saying it's going to break, but good for the Big 12 to be innovative. And I guess the women's tournament will kind of go through this first, Terry, and whatever. I mean, God bless them. Whatever kinks they got to work out of this thing, I guess the women are going to have to deal with first, if there are any. And hopefully there aren't before the guys get there the following week. But I'll be honest. I will tune in to see exactly what this looks like if they change the floor every game, what these data-driven graphics look like during timeouts and things like that. But, and if it works, do other leagues follow suit? Does the NCAA ultimately put one of these on floors? Will we see a Final Four with one of these soon enough? My gut tells me yes, because, again, if you can – make more money from it if I can throw up advertising on this thing real quick. Yeah. I can get the cost of the floor kind of built in from the manufacturer with their own advertising.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, because I just watched a little thing while we were talking. Obviously, I had the sound down, where they're showing like all the different logos for the schools on the floor.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So I get it. You can flash up like, advertising, like little 15-second, commercials on the floor, I guess, during a timeout or whatever. And you can maximize your revenue, and you can put little cool things on there during halftime. I get it to a point, and that's fine. You're looking to NASCAR up everything you can to make money in a rev share world, right? But, yep. I mean, again, as long as it doesn't do anything to affect the play, like if you're not doing anything during play, all right, that's cool. And then you're going to use the thing as a cool little like video game board, I guess, during timeouts. I'm just thinking, think of all the things you could put on this thing, though.
Well, apparently they've used this, and I don't mind, but I just don't watch the NBA. I don't watch All-Star games that much anymore. A little bit of the baseball All-Star game, but I haven't watched the NBA All-Star game in a couple of years, and apparently they've used this at the NBA All-Star game. So if anybody that has watched, if you want to text us, or if you've seen it, or Terry, did you? I don't know if you've watched an NBA All-Sar game. Are they when Steph shoots a 30-footer, again, just something light up. I'd kind of like to see something like that. It'd be. I'm here for that. Like at a home game. When some dude hits a three, the floor goes crazy for just a second. Right. Like I'm not averse to that.
Oh, I got something. I got something. Like if you're playing, and let's say the road team, they have the ball, last possession, 1-point game. You can hit a button to make the floor shake. How cool would that be? How cool would that be?
Okay. Now, you ever – okay, now I'm just being really stupid here. Have you ever seen any of these videos where, like, artists will have, like, on a sidewalk somewhere, will have painted what looks like this massive chasm or some kind of hole, and people will walk over it.
Yes.
And they look down real quick, and they're, because their brain tricks them, they like fall down. Obviously, there's nothing to literally fall into, Bugs Bunny style, but people will like, they fall down. Like, have that, like when the point guard for the visiting team
Yes.
is dribbling down the floor, like right near midcourt, have the center circle at midcourt suddenly turn into this just giant hole on the LED. And just see what you can do to mess with the guy.
Hey Jay, this could change home court advantage as we know it.
Yeah. I'm here for and obviously they're not going to do anything like that.
We're just
that'd be kind of funny. That'd be kind of funny. They're doing warm-ups. You could do that just to see what happens to a guy. Like, like that'd be fun.
See,
there's some quality entertainment.
This would be perfect for the All-Star game. Just this goofy stuff we're throwing out. I mean, it's just a pretend game anyway. You can have a lot of fun with an LED floor doing all this goofiness during an All-Star game.
Yeah,
just saying.
So we'll see. But anyway, so Big 12 tournament in Kansas City next month. If you're interested to see what exactly this is going to look like in a real game, because I guess the All-Star game doesn't count as a real game, then you're going to get it in the women's tournament first, followed by the men. So. And it may end up being just a whole bunch of nothing other than some advertising.
But I tell you one thing, you and I talked about the Big 12 for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, they got good basketball.
It worked.
They got good basketball.
Oh, they got real good basketball in the Big 12 year in and year out. That league's something else, man.
Yep.
So.
All right, come back on the other side here in a second, Terry. We'll update everybody on the one bit of Gamecock football news, but there is an interesting college football story out west that I wonder if other leagues will – I know they'll look at it. They won't do it next year like this one league is going to. But it's innovative. I think it serves a purpose. And I would wonder if it's something that as we do move forward and ultimately expand the college football playoff, if other leagues will look at and say, that's not a bad idea. I want to see, Terry, what you think about it and others, but we'll do that on the other side because I do think there's some promise to this particular move.
Good deal. And also, remember, 6 o'clock tonight, our cutoff for our Valentine's Day contest. Go to 1075thegame.com. Click on it. Fill out the little entry. You get a bunch of different stuff from food from Jay's Corner to a pair of tickets for all 3 Gamecock home games this weekend. You get some dessert from, some good bundt cake dessert and also a craft beer card. So go check it out. You can still, between now and 6, put your name in there. No, Jay, you can't because you.
By the way,
here.
The more I've thought about it here, while I was talking about LED floors, the more I do want Brian Glenn to bring me a pizza.
All right, post game show.
That's
Jay
really kind of
and
all I'm
Terry,
thinking about now.
We are hanging out here. You're welcome on the Game Network, and on our YouTube channel at the Game TV Radio. Time to check the traffic. A few accidents right now. Bluff Road near Pineview Drive, Clemson Road at Hardscrabble, Old Barnwell Road at Lake Drive, and US 601 at Old Eastover Road. Post-game show. Jay and Terry hanging out with you as we go till 6 here on the Game Network. And we're on our little YouTube channel at the Game TV Radio. And once again, you get a wonderful, wonderful, oh, yeah. Man, I'm telling you. You know what, Jay? I think I'm good. Just for doing live streaming, I'm going to need some kind of hairpiece.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a tell Josh to go sell that one for you.
I'll get the endorsement. That's what I'll do.
I think is there still like a wig shop on Main Street, man? And you probably find something in there.
Hey, really quick. And you see these commercials all the time, and I'm not going to say the name of them, but like the different kind of hair replacement commercials you see, whether it's hair transplants, well, whatever it is. And it's always this guy, and he always gets his new hair, and all of a sudden all these hot women are around him. And
and they're running their fingers through it, and they're like, in the pool and at the beach, man.
Yeah, and the minute this guy got his hair done, all of a sudden, bam, supermodels, baby.
That could be you.
I'm sure the girlfriend would love that.
Yeah, well.
Sure. She'd be a big fan of that.
Mm-hmm. Show up at the door, and she's like, "Who are you?" And you're like, "Babe, it's me."
Baby, it's me. Run your fingers through my hair.
Like,
Come on.
No, it's not 1990.
Right.
Well, get Josh on that for you. I'm pulling for you, man. You know me. I'm pulling for you.
I know you are. Anyway.
I'm pulling for you.
All right, you got some interesting stuff.
This is interesting. And again, I'm for innovation if it matters. The Pac-12 is back. It's not going to be a power conference anymore. But the new Pac-12 starting this year is Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Utah State, Washington State. Did I miss anybody? I feel like I'm missing somebody, Terry. Who am I missing? Oh, and Texas State. Sorry, and Texas State.
Yeah, they just came in. The last one in, right?
Yeah, they just came in too. So again, that's 8 schools, so they're gonna have a 7-game football schedule. So everybody will play everybody, but in an effort to make sure that everybody gets another home game, so that there's a balance of home games within conference play, they're going to have at the end of the season, basically when I guess like the final week of the regular season. So the week before Thanksgiving, the Pac-12 is going to have what it calls a flex weekend. Now, since the conference schedule has already been set, they know that and again, 4 schools, will have 4 home games and then 3 road games and then reverse it. So the 4 schools that have 3 conference home games will be hosting that flex weekend, they're going to call it. And that'll be Utah State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Washington State. They know they'll be the home teams. Who they play, Terry, will be determined on league standings, and they'll do that, the final week of the season. It says they're guaranteed to host that weekend to make sure everybody gets 4 home games. Other factors to be considered will be the possibility of traveling to an opponent twice, but determination will be made by the league office, and they believe that the flex weekend can help the interest of the league in terms of college football playoff or bowl considerations. So you will have some rematches at the end of the year, again, to provide some balance, but it won't count in conference standings. It'll just be a regular season game, and it'll provide another home game and another gate for those 4 schools that get to host, but they don't know yet who they'll play. Again, it seems kind of quirky, but this is where they are until they have enough teams to maybe play a full 8-game schedule where you could play everybody, and that may happen. That may ultimately happen. I think the league will grow to be 12 at some point, but it's not there yet. I applaud innovation, and it's only a 1-year deal for now. They're going to see how it goes. I've heard of stupider things, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're the Pac-12, well, Pac-12 2.0, Pac-12 Light, whatever you want to call yourself. Why not start trying things, right? I mean, you want to be a power league, you're not a power league anymore. Maybe you start doing things for a year and see how it works and throw it against the wall, see if it sticks, right? And if you find something, okay, be quirky, be different. You got to do something to stand out, right, Jay? You got to do something to be different. And if you want to be the conference that is going to try things because you have nothing to lose at this point, then go ahead. The Big 12 is a little different because you are a power league, right? And I get Brett Yormark, and he's trying to maximize everything he can for revenue purposes and for, exposure and things of that nature. But I think while I look at the Big 12 in a different lens, I look at a Pac-12 like, look, you got nothing to lose. Just do stuff. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, okay, bag that one and try something else. Because you got to find a way to make some noise so you get noticed. Because really right now, no one's noticing you. All we're saying is, wow, Pac-12, what a shame what happened there. That's really what we say, right?
Yeah, and a lot of us are going to feel that way for a while.
Yeah.
And I mentioned going in, to the last break and setting this story up. I wonder how much other leagues will pay attention to this. We know, for instance, and I'm looking maybe primarily right now at the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Look, they play 9 conference games. They don't mandate that 10th game against a Power 4 opponent the way the SEC and the ACC are going to. The Big 12 used to, Terry, but it doesn't currently. I do think there will soon enough, this is just my opinion, but I do think soon enough there may be some pressure placed upon the Big 10 to do this, to not to do a flex weekend necessarily, but to add that Power 4 mandated game, against somebody else. I hope they do. Again, for all the belly aching that the Big Ten did about the SEC only plays 8 games. Now they're playing 9 plus 1. The ACC is going to play 9 plus 1. The Big Ten doesn't currently do that. Some of their schools will play Power 4 teams, and I applaud that. But they're not mandated to the way the SEC is. So I guess my point could be that Tony Petitti might look at this and say, here's what we'll do. We won't mandate another game out of conference, and we'll stick with 9 conference games. But maybe here at the end of the year, we'll have some schools in our conference do this. We'll set them up. We'll have a flex game. We won't know who's going to play whom. And we'll maybe set it up based on standings. But this will give him what he wants, Terry, in that he wants more TV inventory with quality games.
Yeah.
I'm just, again, things are going to change, and you need more revenue. This might be a way to do it. So, like I say, I don't know how truly innovative this is. It's been done before a few times. Based on the story that I read, I wouldn't have remembered it, but apparently a couple of leagues have done something similar to this, not in maybe as grand a scale. But I could absolutely see the Big Ten incorporating something like this.
Sure. I mean, look, Petitti, like you say, he's looking for TV inventory, looking for something to bring eyeballs to the conference. I guess my thing is what I'd love to see, and I know that this isn't the NFL, and you can't have a schedule formula like the NFL to make everybody's schedules sort of kind of close to being even, but you can, to your point, every league can mandate 9 conference games and a 10th Power 4 game. Everybody can mandate that. To me, that's the very least everybody can do, Jay, is be on that same page. Everybody plays 9 conference games and 1 other game against a Power 4 school, so you got 10 games that, have some teeth to them. You at the very least could all get together and agree on that, right?
Yeah. And I'd like to think they could. I was told this week that at the SEC coaches meetings in New Orleans that they did discuss some scheduling changes, by the way, to kind of blend into a couple of different topics. Obviously nothing concrete, and nothing came out of that with like, hey, here's what it's going to look like. I think it was more to have coaches inform one another about where they would be. And we know some coaches, Terry, are a little more squeamish about this than others. And again, there's the word is kind of out there that Ohio State and Alabama, who have a home and home scheduled here in the coming years, are probably going to do away with it. That would, I don't know why. Again, Alabama's got to schedule somebody out of the Power 4. They just may not want to make it Ohio State.
Right.
And I can understand that. But at the same time, are you going to trade Ohio State for, I don't know who? Virginia?
Exactly.
I'm picking on Virginia because of Indiana, but or somebody like that, Minnesota.
Yeah,
right. It'll count.
Right, I was going to throw out Northwestern. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it'll count as what you're looking for. But I was watching Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman the other day, and they were lamenting that game is going to get canceled, and they were talking about Carolina canceling the NC State series, but hey, you know what South Carolina's not going to do? They're not going to cancel their series with Clemson.
No.
And Andy was like, Alabama doesn't have a Clemson, so what does Alabama do to kind of match that strength of schedule? And South Carolina's not alone. And Ari mentioned Florida State. So, look, things like this flex thing here, there could be some benefit if you want to do this as a non-con within your conference structure. Again, could be something to look at. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how it plays out.
It's interesting. Let's see how it goes with the Pac-12.
Yeah.
All right. We'll pop back in here, and what do you want to get to next, man? It's your world. You leave at 5. What do you want to do?
There's a Connor Stallion story that I don't really want to get to, but I know that our good friend Tyler Head has given us some Paul Maneri sound, so maybe Gamecock baseball is where we go instead of Connor Stallion.
Absolutely.
But if you want me to talk about Connor Stallions, I can do that too.
And Connor Stallion, every time the name Connor Stallion just said, I giggle. Is that bad?
Wild Stallions.
Hey, do we have what story did you and I have more fun with? Connor Stallions or sliced bread?
Well, I really did enjoy calling Connor Stallions Wild Stallions a lot. So
that
there
was fun.
A sliced bread. Which one was sliced bread? That was the Jimbo Fisher.
That was the A&M Jimbo Fisher thing. Yeah. We had fun with that. We enjoyed that.
That was pretty fun too, man.
Yeah,
but Connor Stallions gave us. I think that had a lot more juice to it.
That was good
in
gold.
The grand scheme.
All right, we'll come back. Paul Maneri, Carolina baseball. We'll hear from the head coach in our next segment on the post-game show. Jay and Terry on the Game Network, and at the Game TV Radio on YouTube. All right, a couple accidents. Clemson Road at Hardscrabble. Also, Old Barnwell Road at Lake Drive in Lexington. And Winslow Way at Clemson Road in Northeast Columbia. Come back. Here are a couple of cuts from Carolina baseball coach Paul Mainieri. As the season gets underway tomorrow, doubleheader. 12:45 pregame, 1 o'clock first pitch here on the game in Columbia and our affiliate in Myrtle Beach. Our tailgate show starts at 9 a.m. from Village Idiot on Whaley. That starts 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll run till pregame right here on the game.
But anyway, I think we've got a really good squad put together. Obviously, we've had a couple of tough breaks early in the offseason, losing Jake McBoyd for the season. Alex Philpott and Colin Horowitz are going to be a little delayed in getting back with us. We're both seeing the doctor on Monday for a reevaluation, and we anticipate that the reevaluation is going to be good, and they'll be able to start their throwing program. And that maybe at the most it'll be 3 weeks before they're ready to start pitching. But outside of that, I think we're relatively healthy, and everybody's excited about playing.
All right, post-game show, Terry and Jay here on the Game Network, and at the Game TV Radio on YouTube. There's Paul Mainieri talking about injuries. The one there, Alex Philpott, possibly would have been a weekend starter, Jay, it feels like.
Yeah, I think, and Paul told us on Monday, probably was going to be, and that they even, had a couple of guys that could have been bullpen guys that are going to start in the midweek games because they have 2 next week. So right away, your pitching rotation is thrown into a little bit of flux. And I know he told us, and I think he echoed it again today, that they'll have short stints for starters, 5 innings, 75 pitches, kind of whichever comes first, kind of a thing. I think I was even going to joke with him and say, "What if a guy's dealing and has a perfect game?" But I know he's going to answer 5 innings or 75 pitches. So
right.
He mentioned that it was going to be as much about some of the bullpen guys as anything. But it's certainly a mild concern, Terry, that as David told us, you've got maybe your overall best pitcher done for the season before the season begins, and a couple of guys that are going to have to start the season on the shelf. So a lot of pressure right away. It's a deep pitching staff in terms of numbers, in terms of arms, in terms of bodies, but experience at this level and things like that, they're in shorter supply. So I do, again, how big a deal is it? Ask me again on Monday when they played this series. But they got games Tuesday and Wednesday, including one on the road up at Wofford. So there's some things to be at least mildly concerned about, I think.
Yeah, look, there's a lot because there's so many unknowns, right? I mean, there just is. It's everywhere on this roster. I mean, again, we talked to David and talked to Jack Veltri the other day from Gamecock Central, who's been all like David covering the team. And they say, yeah, you're seeing more live arms, guys with, more velocity. And that's great. That's good. And, how's it going to translate to pitching for South Carolina at Founders in the SEC? We'll find out. I mean, Philpott had pitched at Florida, so, he has experience in the SEC. But you got other guys who are coming in, a couple of hitters from the Big Ten who put up some nice numbers in Big Ten play. How's that going to equate to the SEC? We'll find out.
Right.
Guys who had played, whether it's JUCO or lower levels of Division I or whatever the case, we just don't know how, to your point, all this is going to go together. And that's part of what this non-conference is going to be, Jay, to get the kinks out of this thing and hopefully the guys you're counting on to step up, most of them can step up. Not everybody always does, but hopefully a good amount of them do, man. Their season's riding on it.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I know the cut you have, what you've selected, I'll let you set it up because I think it ties into what you just said.
Yeah, because, again, last year was a massive disappointment. And, look, if you think it's a massive disappointment for us here and for the fan base, think if you're Paul Mainieri. You know what Paul Mainieri is like. Remember when he was first hired, he sat down with you and Elijah, remember? Mm-hmm. And Paul Mainieri didn't say, well, I plan for us to be really bad. I don't think he said that, right? So Paul Mainieri obviously was pretty surprised how last year played out and obviously disappointed. Mainieri says, well, to get this thing back on track, one good thing is he's got 41 years of experience.
So what you're saying is I'm old.
Yeah. Join the club.
Well, there's advantages about being old. There's obviously disadvantages. You know, I don't have to go over the disadvantages, but the advantages are, you know, you've been through just about everything that's possible to go through. You know, I've coached, almost 2,400 games, I think. We didn't win every one of them. You know, we've had enough success that I've been able to hang in there for 41 years without getting fired. I hope I can keep that record intact after this year. But, you know, you go through some disappointments, and but you know that tough times don't last, but tough people do, and I don't think anybody's ever questioned my toughness. And I've done it all for the right reasons. I love working with young people. I love representing great universities. I love molding teams and putting them together. And like I said, because you're old, you've been through these. I went through this. I know you're probably tired of me saying it, but I went through this my first year at LSU. And people wondered if they'd hired the right coach in Baton Rouge, believe me, back in 2007 or whatever it was. And the next year we went to Omaha, and the next year we won the national championship. I wish I could promise you that's what's going to happen here. But, you know, obviously a lot of things have to work out and go well. And, you know, all I can tell you is we're going to take it one game at a time. We're going to go out there and play our hearts out every single day. I think we have a very good squad, and you know, when we get Phil Pott and Horowitz back, I think our pitching depth will even be better. But I think we have a really good squad, and I think the kids have been very coachable. They've got great attitudes. They work really hard, and they're as excited as I am. I know we got a lot of new players, but it's amazing when you put that Gamecocks uniform on how excited they get about being here. So, you know, there's something to be said about some newness, and you know, it's going to be an exciting year. So we'll be ready for it. I promise you that we're going to do the very best that we possibly can out.
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, again, he says, look, I've been through pretty much every rodeo possible. I've dealt with this kind of thing before. I know how to get us out of it.
And he does, you know, again, knowing how to and doing it, as he kind of alluded to there, are two different things. And I think one of the biggest worries that Carolina fans have now is just, as we already talked about earlier in the program, going to the projections from the D1 guys, and which, again, are nothing more than projections, but Carolina's not part of the projected tournament. You know, that's just where that's where you are right now. But, Terry, again, 13 SEC schools are projected to be in. Oklahoma is the last team out, so there's 14. And the league is just that much more stacked right now. And does that mean that the deck is that much more stacked against South Carolina? You know, I don't know. To the point you just made, you've brought in what looks like a better and more talented roster than you had last year. But last year was terrible. And so it's almost like you got to go up from that. Mm-hmm. But how far? And we don't know those things yet. You know, it's like David Cloninger said about the basketball team. You've already surpassed your win total from last year in conference play. But that's only going from 2 to 3. You know, I mean, you're going to have to win 12 to 15 conference baseball games. You really need to – it'd be nice to win that Clemson series and really have this fan base begin to feel good again. And there's a lot on Paul's plate. I know he can handle it. But I also know, again, like Tennessee and Auburn and Alabama, teams that you used to just Georgia, that you were better than, Terry, they're all seen as better than you. And 3 of those, Tennessee, Georgia, and Auburn, are already projected 1 seeds, at least in terms of what they have on paper. So, again, it's only on paper, but it's a very different SEC now, and that's what I think has Carolina fans really concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it is because, look, again, this is another conversation to have. Is, you know, this the reality of everything, Jay, is how much money can you allocate to a program to stay with the arms race of getting players? You know, how much more do you have to spend? How much are some of these other schools spending on baseball? You know, you got to take a look at that. Is that something that has held Carolina back? Is the arms race of NIL and rev shares and all this? Is that, I don't know. We've been concentrating on football and men's basketball. We know Dawn does a great job of going out and you know, finding money for the women's basketball team. What about baseball? Is part of what's going on also go back to the allotment of money put into baseball to chase players like look, the SEC, you know this, Jay, everybody wants to be number one in everything. It's competitive as hell, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and baseball is part of that too.
Yeah, it is. And you know, Carolina and LSU were at the forefront of that 20 years ago. And, you know, and for LSU going back to the 90s. You know, I mean, by the time Coach Tanner, by the time we got into this century, you know, the Gamecocks were looked at as one of the premier programs in the country. But now, again, Tennessee is right there. Georgia has been to the World Series. Yeah, A&M and Texas are, you know, money powers. And Texas coming into this conference as already maybe one of the 2 or 3 most decorated programs in the history of the sport. So you're up against a lot. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and say, so, hey, it's not going to happen. It needs to happen. It better happen.
Sure.
Because it's Carolina baseball, and it's supposed to happen.
Absolutely. Jay or nay, we got that next here on the post-game show on the Game Network, and our little YouTube channel at the Game TV Radio. I'll get some Jay or nay in here before Jay Phillips takes off for the day. It's almost nap time. Now you got your little like sleepy.
You're not lying
on.
though. You're not lying. It is. It is. It is.
All right, so
I look forward to being normal again here in the not too distant future, sir.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
I bet you do look. You're
getting there.
looking forward.
Every day is a day closer, right? That's
right.
How I have to look at it.
That's right, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right, so a little Jay or Neg, I get the music too, because without music, it's not the same. Okay, because we love our game show music.
By the way, USA is up 4-1 on Latvia now in the hockey game. So
Very nice.
feeling a little better about it.
I believe they will handle their business, yes. 1-1 there for a little bit, though, man.
Yeah, a little too long. It was a little too close, yeah. Whereas Canada went in and just dominated in their game against a better team. So, something to think about. But again, I'm serious. Half of Canada's roster is going to the Hall of Fame one day.
Oh, it's insane how good that roster is. Seriously, it's just insane.
America has a lot of good NHL dudes, but half of America's roster ain't going to the Hall of Fame.
No. That's why it's going to be very interesting because really, you look at it. Canada obviously is the favorite, and the U.S. is looked at as the second favorite, so to speak. But yeah, Canada's roster stacked, man. It's just sick. It's sick.
Yeah.
All right, let's Jay or nay, man.
Let's do it.
We're going to Jay or nay on Ari Wasserman's top 10 quarterbacks heading into the season of 2026.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw the number and the rank and the name, and you give me Jay or nay.
Okay.
Jay or nay, in this top 10, Dante Moore at Oregon is number 2.
I'm trying to rack my brain on who number 1 is going to be
next.
then.
That's next.
Okay. Well, why am I not thinking? Is number 1 going to be Arch? No, maybe not. Or Sayin, I guess. I don't. Sure, I'll give you a J on that, but I almost want to find out who 1 and 3 are.
That's next. Ready? Because Dante Moore is sitting behind Arch Manning, who is at number 1. Jay or nay on Arch Manning sitting at number 1 ahead of some of these other guys?
You know, I mean, like I said, I think so much of the hype around the kid has nothing to do with the kid himself, like having done this. You know, he hasn't made himself to be the end-all, be-all, or to be like Uncle Peyton or Uncle Eli, right? Mm-hmm. But an Arch over Dante. Who's number 3?
Number 3, this is another J or nay. Sam Levitt is number 3 from LSU. Julian Sayin, number 4, Ohio State. Should Sam Levitt be ahead of Julian Sayin? J or nay?
When you're looking at some individual talent, probably so. Again, as I told you, I like Julian Sayin, but I'm not sold on Julian Sayin yet because I know that, like so many Ohio State quarterbacks before him, he is given the gift of 5 guys that are going to the 5 offensive linemen that are going to the NFL, receivers that are following behind, the great Chris Carter from days of yore, to Jackson Smith and Jigba, to Jeremiah Smith now, tailbacks like Eddie George, although they don't have the Eddie George back there right now. But so it's sometimes hard to judge an Ohio State quarterback, and very few of them have done anything, if at all, in the NFL. I'll go. I'd probably put Sayin ahead of Levitt, and I think we're going to see what Levitt's really made of in a conference where defense is at a much higher premium than the old Big 12. And again, I like what Levitt did at Arizona State, but now he's going to be doing it in the SEC, and if he does it, that's terrific. But for now, that benefit of the doubt maybe isn't there, so I'll give it to Sayin. Arch is doing it in the SEC. Dante Moore is doing it in the Big 10. So 1 and 2, I'll go J.
All right,
3,
ready?
I'm going to nay, and 4, I'm going to nay because 4 should be where 3 is.
All right, this one is interesting. Josh Hoover, transferring to Indiana, is number 5, ahead of Gunnar Stockton, Darian Mensah, Jaden Maivia, C.J. Carr, and others. Should Josh Hoover be that high on this list, Jay or nay?
Well, based on the fact that Mendoza developed the way he did, I would say, Jay. He's probably about where he needs to be, and I think they've got some even better skill talent around him coming in if what I have read is correct. Now, again, it's on paper, but on paper, Indiana had either the first or second best transfer portal class in the country. I'll tell you one that's on there that you just said, Gunnar Stockton at 6. I'm not quite sure why Gunnar Stockton seems so underappreciated. I mean, kid's tough as nails. There's not enough around him, but he has really. I mean, again, Terry, remember last year we were talking about it. Georgia was seen as down, and at least in the regular season, their only loss was a home loss where a kid dropped a ball that should have been a touchdown that Gunnar Stockton threw right on the numbers. I like Gunnar Stockton. I almost would put Gunnar Stockton a little bit higher, to be perfectly honest with you. But Hoover, I mean, tore it up at TCU, and there's every reason to believe that what they're doing at Indiana is going to help him.
Gunnar Stockton seems to get a little overvalued. He's at number 6 on this list. Just saying.
I like Stockton. I think he's pretty good. Again, get him a little bit more to work with, and maybe Georgia is Georgia again. I'm not so sure, but maybe Georgia also just needs a better defense.
Yeah, real quick. Not on this list is Lenora Sellers, C.J. Carr, Brendan Sorsby, Darian Mensah, Jay Maivia, Gunnar Stockton, Josh Hoover, Julian Sayin, Sam Levitt, Dante Moore, Arch Manning. Should Lenoris be on this list ahead of any of those? Yay or nay?
Based on last year, nay. I get why he's not. Listen, a lot of the things that plagued Lenoris Sellers last year weren't on Lenoris. They were on the guys in front of him, and Carolina has already done enough. Well, you hope. I mean, they've done a lot to attempt to fix that. Now you got to go play football. So I can see why on a preseason list he has fallen out of that, but an easy chance to come back in. Mendoza wasn't on that list last year. He won the Heisman, so there's the motivation for Lenoris.
How'd he do? Hey, man, get some sleep. All right, my friend?
Yep.
All right, we'll
See
talk to you tomorrow. All right, 5 o'clock news from Integrated Media up next on the game. right, a couple accidents to get to. Leapart Road near Chris Drive, also our old Barnwell Road and South Lake Drive. That accident's still going on in Lexington. They're trying to clear the way there. Winslow Way at Clemson Road as well. And then we have stop-and-go traffic in Lexington, I-26 westbound between US 1 and Bush River Road at exit 108. We'll come back at you the 5 o'clock news, sponsored by Integrated Media. And also, don't forget our Valentine's Day contest. It shuts down at 6 tonight. You still have a chance to jump in. Just go to 1075thegame.com and qualify. All right, 5 o'clock news, sponsored by our buds Integrated Media here on the Game and the Game Network and at the Game TV Radio on YouTube. We'll start off Gamecocks baseball tomorrow. The season gets underway, a doubleheader against Northern Kentucky. Again, our tailgate show rolls at 9 a.m. from Village Idiot on Whaley in Columbia. We go till 12:45. That's pregame with Derek and Stewart, and then 1 o'clock first pitch. A double dip for South Carolina as they start off the season. Paul Maneri talked to the media today. We'll get you a cut or two of that during the Gamecock Notebook. Injuries are a deal. Phil Pott looked at one of the starting pitchers as a weekend guy, is hurt. Brandon Stone stepping in. Stone, of course, last year started as a closer and then moved into a variety of roles through the season. So Stone will get the ball on the weekend. And a lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks. A lot of players have come in from a lot of different places, whether it's, pitchers, everyday players. We'll just see how this whole thing fits together. You got a couple guys like Bo Hollins and KJ Scobie on the infield. You remember from last year. Seems like Hollins is back from his injury, and he should be ready to go this weekend. Talmadge LeCroy behind the plate, injured last season. There's a familiar name. There's not that many, to be fair. It's a whole new baseball team in so many ways, especially coming off of a disappointment, and I'm using that word to be nice, of last season. So, again, everything gets underway tomorrow, and we'll talk more about the Gamecocks and the SEC in the drive around the SEC when we look at the projections from D1 baseball for the field of 64. Again, it's preseason projections. In the big picture, it means nothing. It's just something for us to yip about. So we'll yip about it bottom of the hour. Obviously, no basketball this week for the men or the women. The women, very interesting game on Saturday on our sister station, B1067. Saturday night tilt versus LSU in Baton Rouge. That one should be fun. Everything about this screams to be a rivalry except the fact that LSU can't beat South Carolina. Kim Mulkey has a big fat goose egg in the win column against Dawn Staley since Kim Mulkey showed up at LSU. Malaysia Fulwiley going against her former team. The game in Baton Rouge 2 years ago was very tight, very close. So again, that's popping this weekend. And it should be very interesting. National television. Again, two teams that want to be rivals. Really bad. And again, our coverage will be on our sister station, B1067, on Saturday. Tip time, 8:30. Our pregame coverage starts at 8 p.m. The men aren't playing this week either. They'll get back at it this weekend as well. Will South Carolina. The men, of course, on a bit of a losing streak, trying to get that thing straightened out on Saturday. Gamecocks, they will be on the road taking on Alabama. Tough place to play, tough place to win. Bama, they play really, really fast. One of the fastest teams tempo-wise in America. Alabama shoots a ton of threes, takes it to the rack, runs and runs and runs. This Alabama team, though, they're not really into playing defense. The coach really don't want to play defense because it takes away from my offense. So, South Carolina, there will be opportunities to score the basketball. But you can't get into a track meet with Alabama because if you try to run with Bama, it's not going to end well. South Carolina's got to play their game, but you can't get sucked into a track meet with the Tide. Again, there will be opportunities to score the basketball against a team that does not play great defense in Bama. Can South Carolina take advantage of that? We'll see. One thing, though, you got to be able to... Well, first of all, you hope Alabama just misses shots. They're going to take a ton of shots. They're going to get a lot of possessions. You hope they miss. That's almost your big hope on defense, is you hope they miss their open looks. They're going to get open looks. They're one of the best offensive teams in America. South Carolina's defense is in the hundreds per Ken Palm. It's not a good defense. And you're dealing with a team that very analytically advanced in Alabama. So the hope is Bama throws bricks, you make your shots, you stay in the game early, you don't turn it into a track meet, or let Bama turn into a track meet, and that's going to be your chance. So, again, that is 8 o'clock pregame, 8:30 tip right here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia and our affiliate 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. All right, off to some of the headlines of the day. The USA in men's hockey leading Latvia 4-1 after 2 periods. Again, the USA looked at as one of the gold medal favorites. Canada really feels like a little bit above the entire field, but the United States looked at as the other gold medal contender. Also at the Olympics in Italy, Chloe Kim fell short of her bid to become the first Olympian snowboarder to win 3 consecutive gold medals. She finished second. She got the silver in the women's half pipe today. She lost, and I'm going to try my best. Choi Gaon of South Korea, my gosh. Africa and Korea look nothing alike. Choi Gaon of South Korea, 17 years old, dethroned the 2-time defending champion. Kim, again, 2 gold medals in the last 2 Olympics and just falling short for a third. South Carolina basketball, they're the best player. Caleb Wilson, a lottery pick, by the way, in the upcoming NBA draft, is out with a fractured hand. No timetable for return. He fractured his left hand in the 75-66 loss at Miami on Tuesday. Quote from the school's announcement, X-rays taken during the Miami game were negative, and he returned to play later in the second half versus the Canes, but additional imaging done in Chapel Hill revealed the fracture. The evaluation process is ongoing to determine the timetable for Wilson's return. Big blow to North Carolina. Big blow. Wilson is a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. It was where he's projected. So it really hurts North Carolina in the short term. Back to the Olympics really quick. Canada routed Czechoslovakia today. Sidney Crosby, Drew Doherty. They have Olympic experience. The rest of these guys don't. The Connor McDavids, Nathan McKinnons, Macklin, Celebrini, but didn't matter. Canada takes out Czechoslovakia 5-0, and it wasn't even that close. Canada, the gold medal favorite, got their win earlier today, in the U.S. also does the same thing. This is an interesting story. The Philadelphia Phillies have released outfielder Nick Castellanos on Thursday after the team was unable to make a deal to trade him. Now, Castellanos is underachieved in Philadelphia, signed a big contract, didn't put anywhere near the offensive numbers up he did before he got to Philly. And he's a guy, if he's not hitting, he doesn't bring a ton of value. He's not a good defensive player, not a great base runner. His position is hitter. So the Phillies released Castellanos after not being able to make a trade. Because, again, if you're a team, what are you giving a value for Nick Castellanos? Castellanos, after being released, revealed he was benched last season after bringing a beer into the dugout during a game. Castellanos was benched last year after he made what Phillies manager Rob Thompson described as an inappropriate comment after he was pulled for a defensive replacement in Miami. Castellanos said in September the communication with Thompson had been questionable, at least in my experience. Well, on Thursday, Castellanos posted a handwritten note on social media explaining the incident that preceded the benching. He said he brought a beer into the dugout after being taken out of the game and complained to Thompson about team rules. He said teammates took the beer away before he drank any. Quote, after being taken out of a close ball game in front of my friends and family, I brought a Presidente into the dugout. I then sat right next to Rob and let him know that too much slack in some areas and too tight restrictions in others was not conducive to us winning. Afterward, he went into the office with Thompson and President of Baseball Ops Dave Dombrowski. Quote from Castellanos, we aired out our differences and the conversation ended with me apologizing for letting my emotions get the best of me, adding that he was benched the next game as punishment. Now, again, I don't hang out in the Phillies clubhouse. Don't know what Castellanos means, that there's too much slack in some areas and too tight restrictions in others. But I'll say this. There is nowhere in Major League Baseball, in any dugout, where you're allowed to take a beer and sit down in the dugout when you're taken out of a game and hang. You can't do it. You just can't do it. There's guys who have sat back in the clubhouse and knocked down a beer or 2 or 5. But you don't carry a beer into the dugout and have a seat. Just don't do it. And all the other stuff, I don't know what Rob Thompson is doing as a manager, what rules he has that could be tightened up and what rules he has that are too tight. That's in the eyes of Nick Castellanos. But I know this, you can't take a beer in the dugout. You just can't. And Castellanos doing that, I don't care what your emotions are like, man. Come on, you're a grown man. You know you can't do that. And you were taken out of a ball game. I'll tell you what, if you might have been a better player in Philadelphia, Nicky, you wouldn't have been taken out of a ball game, is my guess. But you haven't been a good player. For all the money you were getting, you hit 250 with 17 bombs last year. Now, 250 is a tick above average of the league. Was it 240? Barely above average with your with your batting average. You were paid a lot of money and you hit 17 homers. And you're not a good defensive player. You're not a base runner. You're a hitter who wasn't hitting. Sorry, Nick, that screams there are situations you're going to come out of the game. Oopsie. You look at Nick Castellanos' time in Philadelphia, one good year to really go to the value of his contract. And that was it. 2023, Castellanos, and his OPS was under 800 because he doesn't walk. 272 batting average, 476 slugging, and you'd like to have a little better than 476 slugging. But still, 29 homers, 37 doubles. Good year. A good year for Nick Castellanos. But that's the only good year he had in Philadelphia to match the amount of money he was given as a free agent to come in and do damage like he did with the Cubs and the Tigers before and the Reds, really. And he really put up excellent numbers with the Reds. But he just didn't do it in Philly, which is a hitter's ballpark, by the way. So Castellanos will be available. And again, 34 years old, coming off of an underwhelming season, really 2 straight underwhelming seasons. We'll see what you get there on the open market because, again, a trade could not be made. Nick Castellanos, I'm mad. Give me a beer. I'm going to go sit in the dugout. Anyway. All right, there's your 5 o'clock news sponsored by Integrated Media. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a whole 6-pack and sit in the on-deck circle. Maybe I'll go stand by the ump. Hey, Blue, want a shotgun one with me? All right, it's 5 o'clock news sponsored by our buds Integrated Media. Up next, we'll get you some Paul Maneri talking to the media today. That'll be on the Gamecock Notebook right here on the Game Network, and on YouTube at the Game TV Radio. CHW Cabinetry, Star and her crew. We love to talk about the quality of the work, and you can go to chwcabinetry.com and look at the quality of the work. It's right there for you to see, and they put cabinets anywhere. Pick a place. Maybe, you know what? I like cabinets inside my coat. Make my life easier. I can walk around with cabinets inside my coat. CHW Cabinetry can probably do that for you. Just ask. Give them a call. 803-520-6837. Whatever you're looking to do regarding cabinetry, they'll take care of it for you. And they do something that's really cool. Photorealistic renderings. This is why they have the best customer service in the Midlands. From beginning to end, you will see in front of you what's going on with your work. And they'll fit it in your budget, your taste, your style, whatever you need. It'll be done by CHW Cabinetry. 803-520-6837. Give those folks a call. Start getting to work on those cabinets. Oh, time to kick some Gamecock Notebook here on the Game and the Game Network. Terry Ford, appreciate you hanging around with us as we roll through till 6 o'clock. All right, Paul Mainieri talking to the media today, the South Carolina head baseball coach. And talking about a variety of things, getting ready for the doubleheader opener for tomorrow. One thing was asked to Coach about his expectation of his starting rotation and pitchers in this Northern Kentucky series. I swear he did say something. He did, I promise. I promise he did. We'll try it again.
And has, excuse me, bit my tongue. That Riley Goodman clearly has the stuff to compete in the SEC and be maybe one of the top pitchers in conference play. He sits at 95, 96 miles an hour. He's got a really good slider. He's got a good changeup. For the most part, his control is really good. The only thing he lacks is experience. If Philpott and Jake were available, Riley probably wouldn't have started on the weekend, but probably would have started on Tuesday. And I would have been able to bring him along slowly, and eventually he would have worked his way into the rotation. I know I keep trying to knock that microphone out of hand. Italians like to speak with their hands. I can't help it. It's hereditary. But anyway, but, you know, it is what it is. Riley's out, Philpott's out. So when I looked at our possible Friday guys, opening game guys, I just felt that Riley Goodman, you know, it's kind of like throwing the baby in the pool and teaching him to swim. I mean, he's got to gain the experience sooner or later, so he might as well right out of the gate. There's no question he's got the talent to do it. And he actually is a very poised and competitive young man. And I would be absolutely shocked if we don't see good out of him, not only this Friday, but in subsequent Fridays. You know, Amp and Brandon probably would not have been in the starting rotation. Amp would have still been competing for the starting rotation. But they both need to show that they can do it because their stuff is not as elite as Riley Goodman's is. And so they have to be a little bit more perfect. You know, they have to have good command. They got to put the ball not only in the strike zone, but in good places in the strike zone. They got to change speeds. And, you know, they're getting an opportunity to do it. But I can't say it's etched in stone.
Oh, look, you know, everyone who's talked about that redshirt freshman, Riley Goodman, has said, look, he has got arm talent. Jack Veltri telling us yesterday when I jumped in for Tyler on the extra point, Jack was like, look, this guy's throwing mid to upper 90s. And I understand that, and look, I am old school on baseball in a lot of ways. I also get the analytics and the way the game goes now, but there's a few things I do believe in. Look, all the love of velocity makes you roll your eyes sometimes because you're like, yeah, you know, but you know what you got to do sometimes? Actually, I don't know, throw strikes, change speeds a little bit, learn how to pitch. It's not just throw as hard as you can all the time. And I'm with you because I agree with that. Still today, upper-level pitchers throw hard, but they're also pitchers. They're not just throwers, and there's a difference. But velocity is a thing today. You've got to be able to miss bats. Because the way hitters are tuned up today, if you're throwing average stuff, unless you're really good with location and hitting spots and mixing up your pitches and changing speeds, if you can't throw with some upper-level velocity, you know, you could be in trouble. So velocity is a thing. I know how much people hate it. It's a point where people go, oh, my God, another conversation about velocity. But it's the reality of the sport. And Riley, going back to the conversation, he can bring it. And from what we've been told by Jack Veltri and David Cloninger, there's more power arms on this staff this year that do throw harder. Because last year you didn't have that. And this staff last year didn't miss a lot of bats. Left a lot of pitches out over the plate, and those pitches got hammered. So we'll see where that goes regarding Goodman and some of these other pitchers on the staff who do throw hard. Paul Mainieri obviously talking to the media today as we were playing you some cuts. Also, get you caught up on the doubleheader that will happen tomorrow. Again, we get underway at 9 a.m. with our typical tailgate show, which happens from Village Idiot on Whaley in Columbia, 9 a.m. to 12:45. At 12:45, that's when the fun starts. Pre-game with Stuart and Derek. Then, top of the hour, 1 o'clock, the season gets underway against Northern Kentucky. And we'll get into the bottom of the hour about the whole situation of preseason prognostications for the SEC and also South Carolina and things of that nature. Let's go back to Paul Maneri real quick. I want to get one more cut from the coach. Just getting it set up here in the old computer for you. Talking about the closer role for this team and who will end up closing games, because that's kind of important. Remember, Brandon Stone started last year as a closer.
Well, Jay, to be honest with you, I'm hoping that when we give the ball to Gunther tomorrow, he takes it to the finish line, whether it's 3, 4, 5 innings. And if he can't, then maybe Valentin will finish the first game. If Gunther can do it in the first game, then Valentin hopefully can do it in the second game. But if we've used them both and we haven't gotten to the finish line yet, I'm very confident guys like Cooper Parks and Zach Russell and Logan Prisco and Josh Gregoire and some of the other guys that are out there, they're all very capable of doing the job. They're all going to be pitching. I mean, we have 5 games in 6 days, right? So, we're going to need a lot of arms to be able to go out there and burn up some innings for us. So, it'll be a little bit of a work by committee until people kind of assert themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like babying people along early in the year. Obviously, you're going to use a lot of pitchers. Starters will be on pitch counts and innings restrictions and things of that nature. But the first guy you heard there was Josh Gunther from Wake Forest. You're hoping that Gunther can step in and be the closer. That's the hope here for South Carolina. And yeah, look, we see schools go closer by committee today, whether it's, and we also see in the major leagues, you see closer by committee today. So that's something that can happen, obviously. But if you could hand the ball to Gunther and just let him be your closer, that would be phenomenal to have your one guy you give the ball to, and he comes in to shut the door. So we'll see how that plays out also, not just with the weekend, but through the non-conference, how the roles get set in the bullpen. All right, it's a Gamecock Notebook. We'll come around to a drive around the SEC. What does D1 baseball think of the SEC regarding the field of 64 as they projected against? It's a projection, a preseason projection. We'll go into that next. And also, if we have time, look at the NCAA men's basketball bubble regarding the SEC. All that's coming up here on the postgame show. Terry Ford hanging out till 6 on the game. go. Time to check the traffic. A few accidents to catch up on. Mineral Springs Road at Leaphart Road in Lexington. Also Leaphart Road near Chris Drive in Lexington. So stay away from Leaphart Road. It's a mess right now. I-77 northbound at Garner's Ferry Road. That's exit 9. Also 77 northbound at Shop Road, exit 6. So, again, stay away from Leaphart Road. Stay away from 77 northbound around exit 6 and 9. I-26 eastbound at Piney Grove Road, that's exit 104, and a disabled vehicle where the right lane is blocked, I-77 southbound at exit 2, that's 12th Street. We'll pop back in here. Drive around the SEC is next on the post-game show on the game. All right, during our drive around the SEC, let's first take a look at D1 baseball. Their projections, their projection for the NCAA tournament. And again, this is just, predicting preseason. Folks do it all the time. And we've seen, especially in college athletics the last so many years, preseason picking and predicting and projecting, honestly, you might as well just pick names out of a hat half the time anymore. But we'll take a look at what D1 baseball sees going into this season. All right, so for the NCAA tournament, the field of 64, their projection, the first 4 out, Oklahoma, UT San Antonio, Cincinnati, Creighton. The next 4 to watch, Virginia Tech, Xavier, Louisiana Tech, and Charlotte. So one SEC team is part of the first 8 out, and that's Oklahoma, who is part of the first 4 out. Then you look at the field. It's a ton of SEC in the field. You've got LSU, the top seed in Baton Rouge. You have Georgia, the top seed in Athens. Texas, the top seed in Austin. Tennessee, the top seed in Knoxville. Mississippi State, the top seed in Starkville. In Gainesville, guess who's the top seed? Yep, Florida, you got it. You see Kentucky, the SEC, out in Corvallis as a 2 seed. Ole Miss, a 2 seed in Conway. Coastal would be the number 1. Vanderbilt, the 2 seed in Chapel Hill. Of course, North Carolina would be the top seed there hosting. Arkansas hosting in Fayetteville. Texas A&M, the 2 seed, as TCU hosts in Fort Worth. Auburn hosting at Auburn as the top seed. Only 2 teams in the SEC aren't either in the field of 64 or right on the bubble. They are Missouri and South Carolina. Against a preseason projection, you get it. In theory, what happened to South Carolina last year and the strength of the SEC this year and really the big, gigantic turnover in roster that South Carolina experienced. You can see why D1 baseball would look at it that way. But obviously it means nothing. It doesn't. Not to be mean. Those guys at D1 baseball are fantastic. Smart guys, sharp, know their stuff. But again, when you're always predicting and projecting and prognosticating, doesn't mean it's going to come true. But that's the view of South Carolina baseball going into the season. All right, to the NCAA tournament, where obviously South Carolina is not being looked at on the men's side. When you look at the SEC, on the bubble, the first 4 out, Missouri is right there on the bubble. The next 4 out after that, no SEC team. So one SEC team is on the wrong side of the bubble of the squads that are close, and that's Missouri. The last 4 in include an SEC team, Texas. The last 4 byes, the last 4 teams to skip that first 4 round, Georgia would be involved there from the SEC. And after that, the SEC gets represented a good bit. Maybe not like last year. Vanderbilt is looked at as a 5 seed out in San Diego. Tennessee, a 5 seed in Portland. That's in the South and the East regions. In Oklahoma City, in the West, we see, again, SEC not represented there. In Tampa, you have Florida, 3 seed. Bama's a 5 seed out in the Portland hub or cube or whatever we're calling them these days. And Texas A&M is an 8 seed in San Diego. That's the West region. Midwest region, Auburn's an 8 seed. Arkansas is a 6 seed. Kentucky's a 7. So that's where you're at with the SEC with Joe Lunardi's bracketology right now. As we're getting near the end of we're getting, let's see, rest of February. We're getting near the end of it. And the SEC last year, remember, it was a record number of teams that went to the dance from the SEC. This year, it's not the same. No Oklahoma, no LSU, no South Carolina, no Mississippi State, no Ole Miss. So you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 11 this year. So that's how the bracketology is setting up for the SEC. Now, speaking of men's basketball in the Southeastern Conference, last night, get you caught up on what happened in the SEC. I watched some of this game. Number 14, Florida. I thought Georgia would hang around. Georgia likes to play with tempo. They're at home. But Florida dismembered Georgia last night. 86-66. Gators look really good. Gators were making threes. When Florida's making threes with the front line they have and the way they play D, Florida could go back and cut the nets down. I don't think they will, but they could. I heard a very interesting stat. Going into last night's game, Florida was shooting 29% from 3 for the season. No team had ever made it to the Final Four shooting under 30% from 3. Well, that's a pretty interesting stat they gave last night. So Florida's a tick under at 29, and last night's barrage against Georgia, let's see if it pushed Florida over that magic number. Florida now shooting from 3-point range. No, they're still under 30. Still a tick under 30%. But anyway, so Florida rolled Georgia last night in Athens. Florida now 9-2 in the league. Georgia falls to 5-6. 86-66 was that final. Alabama whooped Ole Miss in Oxford, 93-74. Bama's now 7-4 in the SEC. Ole Miss falls to 3-8. Chris Beard's got to be losing his mind. Chris Beard's a good basketball coach. They are having a very underwhelming season. Rebs are 11-13 on the year. Alabama improves to 17-7. Of course, South Carolina taking on Bama in Tuscaloosa this Saturday night. And you hear it right here on the game in Columbia and Myrtle Beach. Tennessee, this one was, it was kind of a slog. Volunteers finally got control of it. Tennessee wins 73-64 at Mississippi State. It was just one of those games. Whenever it looked like Tennessee could get control of it, Mississippi State would kind of make a little mini run. But the Volunteers grind out a 9-point victory in Starkville. Missouri and A&M. A&M is starting to leak oil a little bit. They lose to Missouri in College Station, 86-85. Texas A&M has now lost 3 in a row. They lost at Alabama by 3. Got whooped by Florida at home, and then got beat by Missouri at home. So right now, if you look at the standings in the SEC, Florida 9-2, they're leading the way, followed by Arkansas and Kentucky at 8-3. Then Vandy, Tennessee, Bama, Missouri, and A&M all at 7-4. Texas at 6-5, Georgia at 5-6, Auburn 5-6. Then you have Ole Miss 3-8, Mississippi State 3-8, LSU, Oklahoma, South Carolina at 2-9. Interesting, you go look back at the bubble, in bracketology, Missouri, despite being 7-4 in the conference, is on the wrong side of the bubble right now, while Texas and Georgia are on the right side of the bubble. And part of that, to be honest, you look at Missouri's non-conference, they played some guy named Howard. They played Southeast Missouri. They took on VMI, played Minnesota, Prairie View, South Dakota, South Carolina State, Cleveland State. Not a murderer's row. And Missouri also, and this game was in South Bend, but they lost to a very average at best Notre Dame team, and I'm being kind. So Missouri's resume in the non-conference is not very good. Matter of fact, we go back to our handy-dandy Ken Palm, and you look at Missouri, and you look at their non-conference schedule and where it ranks. That non-conference schedule in the 300s. That's not good. Just saying. So that's what's hurting Missouri and putting them on the wrong side of the bubble. All right, so there's your drive around the SEC. We will pop back in, do a little Jay versus the Internet, look at some of the games happening tonight from a Vegas perspective. Also, maybe hit a couple stories that we missed. It's a post-game show. Terry Ford, thanks for hanging out with us as we go till 6 here on The Game. post-game show. Do a little Jay versus the internet here in just a second. Gotta get the theme. Gotta get the theme music because this is not the same without the music. This is not the same. Not the same. There we go. All right, in the SEC, we did not hit the schedule for tonight during the drive around the SEC. We wanted to save it for Jay versus the internet, so we can look at the Vegas angle of the weekend, I should say. Well, not the weekend. I was going to look at the SEC weekend, but instead, we will take a look at just kind of spin around the country in college basketball. Maybe hit some games we typically don't hit. I just realized looking that there was no SEC games tonight. Oopsie. A lot of smaller conferences going at it tonight. Drake. Remember last couple of years, Drake has been really good. Ben McCollum moves on to Indiana. Drake has not been as good. They are a 1.5 favorite against University of Illinois Chicago tonight. Illinois Chicago been better this year. I think they go to Drake and they win in a close game. James Madison has been a good basketball program. Remember, Mark Ironton at Vanderbilt came from James Madison. James Madison, a 5.5-point favorite against Georgia State at home. Yeah, let's take James Madison and give Georgia State the 5.5. What the heck? What the heck? One last one here real quick. Let's take Charleston Southern and Presbyterian. Let's go in-state. Charleston Southern, 1.5 favorites against Presbyterian. Charleston Southern's really struggled this year in the Big South. They're 2-8. Presbyterian comes in 5-5. I'm going to take Presbyterian to get the win on the road. Why not? And like always, listen to me, take the opposite, and you'll be quite successful in life. I want to hit something really quick. We touched on it barely yesterday. We gave you the list and we ran out of time. And we gave you the list of the Ari Wasserman's top 10 quarterbacks. And Lenore Sellers wasn't on it, returning top 10 quarterbacks in the country. And we didn't get to really get into it a little bit. I'm not surprised with the season Lenore Sellers had. Obviously, we talked about it ad nauseum about, the offensive system that Mike Shula ran, the offensive line issues, one of the worst offensive lines in America, to be fair. And that affected the run game. It affected Lenore Sellers' time to throw. It affected everything. And Lenoris also had his issues. He was, remember, early in the year, it was all about throw from the pocket, Lenoris, throw from the pocket. And Sellers never looked comfortable. And there were times when he had open receivers and he didn't hit them. And there were times it looked like there were plays to be made and he didn't make them. So it was a collaborative effort last year. But Lenore Sellers, it was not the season we all expected. It wasn't the season he expected or anybody. So to be out of that top 10, yeah, I get it. I understand. I do. So this year, the expectation level has fallen nationwide for Lenoris, but the good news is you have a much better offensive coordinator who will put together an offensive system that will play to Lenoris Sellers' strengths. Kendall Brow's best offense was at Arkansas with a dual threat type quarterback, just like Lenoris Sellers and KJ Jefferson. So there's hope that this year we will see the Lenoris Sellers that we were figuring we get last year. But I understand. I get it. I do. Now, if you're talking about talent, Lenoris Sellers obviously is one of the most 10 talented quarterbacks in the country, but there's more to it than just talent. There's also production. And last year, it just didn't happen. Just like, when we go into SEC Media Days, we're going to go in and, it's going to be like 2 years ago. We'll go to Tampa. Now I was hoping it was Nashville. But anyway, we're going to go to Tampa. And there's not going to be a lot of conversation about the Gamecocks. There's just not. Last year, there was a ton. Just missed the college football playoff. A quarterback that could be in the mix for a Heisman Trophy. An edge pass rusher who could end up being the biggest game wrecker in the nation. You had a lot of positives going South Carolina's way. And then we saw how the season played out. So we'll see the same thing we saw 2 years ago when the Gamecocks were coming off that 5-7 and were picked to finish near the bottom of the SEC. It'll be the same vibe at SEC Media Days as it was 2 years ago. Same thing in Dallas. And maybe, I think I've said this to Jay before. I can't remember. I barely remember where my keys are right now. Maybe, just maybe, and sometimes this is the way it goes, when South Carolina's had a level of expectation under Shane, they've underachieved. When not a lot's been thought of South Carolina, they, you could say, overachieved. Coming off that 7-6 year in Shane's first season, not many people were thinking, South Carolina will, beat a couple of top 10 teams and end up with 8-4 and going to bowl season, playing really well. No one really thought that. But then after that 8-4 regular season, and then with the defections that South Carolina had before playing Notre Dame and holding their own against the Fighting Irish and having the starting quarterback come back and some other pieces, there was a lot of expectation, right? And then South Carolina went 5-7. It had to really scuffle to get to 5-7. To their credit, because the season looked lost going into November. So nothing was really thought of, no expectation going into 24. And South Carolina almost made the college football playoff. So then last year, a lot of expectation nationally for South Carolina. Hell, the Gamecocks were number 10 in the country after 2 weeks. And then the bottom fell out. So maybe another thing when you're looking for reasons to be optimistic or feel good or feel better or look at glass half full or whatever I'm trying to do here, there is going to be no expectation on the Gamecocks. Now, is there going to be pressure on Shane Beamer? Yes. I think we all understand that. There's going to be pressure on Shane because you can't follow a 4-8 with another losing season. But nationally, there'll be no expectation for South Carolina. There won't be. Now, will Shane be on some hot seat lists? Probably. But the expectation level will not be what it was going into last year. And maybe that's a good thing because, like I said, the 2 times there were low expectations, this program overachieved and had really good seasons. We'll see. Thanks for hanging out and putting up with us. Jay and I will be back tomorrow at 3. Thanks to our buddy David Cloninger for jumping in. This was the post-game show. Best of the Game is coming up next here on 107.5 The Game. check on the traffic, our final one this afternoon. Got a couple stop-and-go spots. Still have that one in Lexington, I-26 eastbound between Lake Murray Boulevard, that's exit 102, and Piney Grove Road, exit 104. Also, I-20 westbound between exit 71 and 68. That is US 21 Main Street exit, that's 71. And Monticello Road exit is 68. Accidents, I-77 northbound at Shop Road, exit 6. I-77 northbound Garner's Ferry, exit 9. Mineral Springs Road at Leaphart Road as well. Those are your accidents. We are done. Best of the game is next. And don't forget Carolina Calls tonight with Lamont Paris here on the game. Quick check on the traffic. We have some stop and go happening in Lexington, I-26 eastbound between exit 102 and 104. In Richland, I-20 westbound between exits 71 and 68. Few accidents to get to. I-77 northbound at Shop Road, exit 6. Also, exit 9 at I-77 northbound at Garner's Ferry Road. Mineral Springs Road at Leaphart Road as well.